Welcome back, peeps. My name is Chad Wilson from Simple Cloudware, and today we're continuing our series going from knowing absolutely nothing to having a professional website hosted in the cloud for pennies a day. In this next video, we're going to get into the several different input options. So let's browse over to our component section, and then we'll just start at the top of this. So in our last episode, we talked about the most common one, which is the input type text. And there are several others that you can use. So for instance, right here, we have an input type file. And what this will do is it will give you the ability, once you click on it, to pop up a window and select a file from your computer in which can be attached to the form itself and uploaded. The next one is input type range. And what this gives you the ability to do is create a slider on your form in which you can slide between the min and the max, which are attributes right here. And you can see there's also an attribute for the steps, or how dramatically we step between 10 and 100, and the starting value. So this gives you a classic little slider that you see where you're selecting price range or any number of things that you do in a form. The next one is type number. And what this gives you the ability to do is when you enter into this field, you can click up and down in a range of numbers. So this one we've set at age, minimum attribute of 1, max attribute of 120, and steps are 1 year at a time. And if you use your arrow keys in this particular field, then it will go up and down through this number series, which is useful. The next input type is type color. And what this gives you the ability to do is pull up a color palette and actually select a color from that palette. And this is useful for, let's say, if you need to select a color of a product that you're purchasing, then you could use this to define what color the customer actually wants. So the next one is actually a newer component built in, which is the date picker. Absolutely critical component. You see this is a date time local. So the individual can click on this and then fill out their date instead of actually typing it in. And this prevents a lot of typing errors when it comes to dates. And then continuing on the date theme, we have the ability to limit that down to just month, and to time, and to week. So these are examples of components that are registered in the input type that you can use when creating a form. All very useful, very common. We've all dealt with these before. The next set of input types that we're going to look at are starting here with the text area. And this works almost exactly the same as an input type text, but it gives you the ability to put a big box on the screen. So you can use this if you need to include a message, or if you're going to do some more lengthy work, then you can create a text area and then add columns and rows. And this is how these two attributes are how you specify the actual size of the text box itself. The next one is super powerful and very popular, and that is the dropdown. And the dropdown has a different name in HTML. It's actually called select an option. So the select tag is actually a drop-down box. And here we see we've got the ID of groups and names, and then underneath of it we have particular options. Now when you have a drop-down, one of the great advantages of this is that it gives you the ability on this option to put a value, which most of the time is a more simpler version than actually the text that's displayed. So you can have a differentiation between what you need to collect for data and what the individual actually sees. Another thing that we want to see here is this particular one has the attribute of selected. And it's just an attribute. It doesn't have to have the equals true, but that is an option if you would like to kind of follow the attribute pattern that we're used to. But you can abbreviate by just putting selected. And when the drop-down menu is initially created, it will have this option displaying. In our next component, we can see that it is another drop-down, but the selections are grouped using this opt group. So let's say you have a lengthy drop-down menu. This will give you the ability to have sub-components of it. So you could have it list many different things, and then it'll have a label of fruits, and then you can pick a banana or a cherry. And what this does is it just indents it a little bit, so it just gives a little more flexibility in the display of a drop-down. It's a nice feature. And then the next one, which we are familiar with, the autofill. And this is a newer option that's built into HTML5. And what this gives you the ability to do is on our input type text, so we're familiar with this, to actually add an attribute called list, and then below it we have the data list, in which when you start typing it will display this below it. And we've all had this happen when we're starting to fill out a modern form, and it will do a check to see, as you're typing in these characters, what match does it have in this particular data list. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the first part of the word. If you typed in ERR, it would show you blackberry and blueberry. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to download the project below. It is a complete Bootstrap professional project in which you can follow along and use for yourself to publish your own content and website into the cloud. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Hit the like and the subscribe button so people just like you can find this video. And remember, keep your head in the cloud.